Hi guys, and welcome to a new episode of A Dog Soul. Have you ever wondered if some breeds are really born killers? Then this episode is for you. We're gonna talk about if some breeds are more dangerous than others, and if not, how did this myth get out there? I'm Anita, I'm a professional dog trainer. I show you how to build a trusting relationship with your dog to overcome fear and reactivity. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe. And now stay tuned and have fun. Alright, so I live in a country and in an area where some breeds are on a list. And this list indicates that these breeds are dangerous. Period. It doesn't matter how they are bred, it doesn't matter how they are socialized or what experiences they make. They are just expected to be dangerous. Now that would be like if we said, well, everybody with red hair is dangerous because he or she has red hair. That would be really stupid, wouldn't it? Because you cannot just expect a behavior to come only from genetics. If that were the case, all dogs today would look pretty much the same because everybody wants a family dog. So why are there different breeds? And they're all fine in normal families. Well, that's because something like dangerous or aggressive or all those labels are something we put on the dogs. It's not something they really are. And they are even called fighting dogs in my country, even though we don't really have a dog fighting rings or something like that. That just doesn't really exist here. And still, those dogs are assumed to be just trying to fight everybody and everything all the time because they are a specific breed. And even in countries where there is no such list, some breeds kind of have a bad name. People assume that they are hard to handle or dangerous or aggressive. And those breeds are especially the square-headed terriers, like a Pit and a Staffy and those dogs, but also Rotties and in my countries even Mastiffs. But not all of them. It's like the popular breeds are on that list, and the not so popular breeds are not on that list, even though they look exactly the same. Or for a layman, they do. And they also have very muscular jaws and very muscular bodies, so they are very strong dogs, very powerful dogs. But still, they are not on any kind of list, like a Presa Canario, for example. And this is something we cannot build our opinion on, because those kind of things, lists, and even in media, people who propagate such things like there are dangerous breeds out there normally have absolutely no idea about dogs at all, let alone genetics and epigenetics and all those things. So the real things that contribute to how a dog will behave in his life. But let's have a little closer look. If we say, for example, pitties and staffies, so the strong terriers, let's call it the strong terriers, because they are terriers, and you can really see very easily that they are terriers. Because the fun, goofy side of terriers that we love so much is very, very highly valued in these dogs. If, of course, it is a breeder that kind of values family, pets, and character and stuff like that. But, of course, there are parts in the world where dog fighting is still a problem. And yes, those dogs are used for dog fights. But why? They are used because, yes, they are very strong and they have this terrier part in them that really follows through. So if a terrier wants to do something, he's gonna do it. And this is also valued in dog fighting areas. So that's one reason. But the other reason, and that's why it's so stupid to assume that these breeds are dangerous to begin with, is because they have very, very low inhibitions to bite a human being. They are very, very hard to provoke. They really are. There has to be a lot done to them to make them aggressive towards people and even towards dogs. Even though when they are bred not to like dogs and they are selected in the dogfighting community like that. So there are only dogs bred who have issues with other dogs normally. But even then, a lot of the dogs are not fighting material. Why? Because the handlers cannot get them to show aggression. Because the threshold is so high in these dogs. And yes, they are very easily aroused and they are terriers. Of course they are. But the biting threshold and the aggression threshold is a lot higher in those dogs than, for example, typical protection dogs. And that doesn't mean that breeds who are bred to protect stuff are more dangerous. But the threshold for aggression is typically higher in pitties and staffies, especially when it comes to humans. Because no half-decent breeder would breed with dogs that show aggression towards humans. Not even in dog fighting communities. Because they have to handle the dogs and they do not want to fight the dogs themselves. So this is something that really has to stop, and we really have to realize that it's not the breed in its own genetics and just genetics. It's always also epigenetics. So how the dog is making experiences in his life, like socialization and early puppyhood. For example, if you get a dog from a place where the dogs are kept in some kind of barn and the puppies never see anything except that barn, you cannot expect a well-socialized puppy that is absolutely capable of coping with everything you throw at him, like a life in the city. That's not possible. Will he be able to learn it? Probably. Not every dog, but a lot of them are. But it's a longer way, definitely. And it's always a combination. And when I say terriers and this character trait is from the terrier and stuff like that, genetics give us sort of like a light switch. So a capability for something. And epigenetics then turns on the light. So PTs and Staffies are very fun, very goofy dogs if they are treated right and if they are healthy and all that. And this is why they are so popular. Not only because there are so many, but also because people love them. And rightfully so. They are just really, really nice pets, really fun pets, and very energetic and just nice to be around. And yes, of course, they can have behavior issues like every other breed. And what we do see, though, in a lot of the strong terriers is that they really like to work with people. So training is not that hard compared to, for example, a livestock protection dog or another Molosser. And I love Molossers, don't get me wrong, and they aren't like stubborn or dumb or whatever. They just like to think about what you ask from them. And yes, they do things because it's rewarding for them. And this is how living beings work. We do things that are rewarding and we avoid things that are punished. That is so natural. So I really don't get why people are trying to avoid dogs only working for rewards. That's not natural, because in nature, the alternative is they are working because they're afraid of what will happen to them if they don't. And who wants that? So there's nothing wrong with working with rewards. And yes, there are some tricks to do that, and some dogs will need other rewards than other dogs. And with some dogs, it takes a little longer to find a reward that is fitting for the situation and the dog and the mood the dog is in that day. But it's absolutely worth it. Even if we're talking about aggression. Especially if we're talking about aggression. Because aggression has almost always a fear background. And dogs who are aggressive in some situations need positive experiences. And how can we give them positive experiences? With positive rewards and positive reinforcement. So if you have a Staffy, or if you are thinking about getting a Staffy or a PT, don't worry about what media tells you. Those dogs are not bred to be aggressive, except, of course, when you get them from dogfighting rings, then they are bred to be aggressive, but not towards humans. And even pit dogs are not always aggressive towards other dogs. And all in all, we can say that there are no dangerous breeds. Some breeds are more tricky to deal with because they are either very easily aroused or very energetic, or think about what you're offering them and weigh if that's worth working for. But don't rule out getting a specific breed only because media is telling you that those dogs are dangerous. If you are trying to choose a dog that fits your lifestyle, your activities, and your area where you live. And I say dog and not breed because every dog is special. Every dog is his own individual. And yes, a breed can give you a little bit of direction, but you have to meet the individual dog to know if it's a good fit or not. That said, if you have already issues with reactivity and leash reactivity and stuff like that, I would love to show you how you can teach your dog coping strategies to be able to deal with everyday life. And if that's the right thing for you right now, go to the description box, book a free call, and we'll see what I can do for you. I wish you an amazing time with your dog, no matter what breed he is, and we'll see each other next time. Until then, bye!